I'd like to call this meeting to order. Do I have a motion to adopt the agenda? Second. All in favor?
Mr. Chairman, we don't usually say the Pledge of Allegiance at work sessions, but with what's going on in the world right now, would it be all right if I suggested we do pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America?
Absolutely. Can you rise and join us for that?
Officer Fleming, would you mind leading us? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And we have a room full, so I imagine we have some recognitions today.
We've got some great recognitions. Suzanne?
Okay, this is my favorite part. We are going to begin tonight with a Special Education Department recognition, and our Director of Special Education, Dr. Betsy Ainsworth, is going to come forth to recognize our special guest.
All right, we are so excited that we get to welcome Chris Caller tonight. So, about a month ago,
Sorry, Betsy, I did not give you great direction.
you can tell I've worked here a really long time when we didn't used to have to speak on a microphone.
There we go.
I'm showing my age. So we are really excited that about a month ago, Ms. Trish Caudle was honored with the Philip Wright Award. And the Philip Wright Award is an award that's given in our RESA, which is the regional education affiliation for the Pioneer District, which Hall County is a part of. And she was nominated by her coworkers for being a support for teachers in the special education department. This award was named after Philip Wright, who is a school psychologist in the Pioneer RESA district. He retired many years ago, and worked really hard for students with disabilities. And each district in the RESA picks an individual who works hard to serve students and teachers and staff in our department. And so Trish is our award winner this year. We're really excited for her. She does a great job working with our teachers. She really works too much. She's always on call, answers. She has open office hours, really 24/7. I have to talk to her about having some healthy boundaries, but she's been a great addition to our team. She was a teacher at Martin School of Technology before that. I see the back row kind of cheering for her Martin peeps back there. And so Trish has been great, and we were really excited to honor her and excited to have her here tonight to accept an award.
And Trish, congratulations. We often say from this board that the true mark and the true measure of a woman or a man or an organization or a family is what you do for those who aren't in a position to do for themselves. And you do it beautifully. You do it with grace. We're so proud of you. And our North Hall representative, Bo Shepherd, is going to give you your award. So thank you. Congratulations.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you. Thank you, Betsy. Congratulations, Trish. We appreciate all you do for us. Okay, moving along with the recognition train here. Up next, we have lots of CTAE recognitions. Our Executive Director of CTAE, Rhonda Samples, is going to lead us in those recognitions.
Thank you. One of my favorite things I love to do. And so we just had an exciting season this year. And so I would say that this is the last of our recognitions, but it's not. We just had HOSA get back, and we've got FFA going and 4-H going, so I'm sure there'll be some more winners to bring and recognize from our state, first and second place. And I might add today, if you'll look in the Times, we've got a couple of students from North Hall High School featured from a project that they have that they designed something about water testing, and it's being tested in another country and so forth like that. So we look forward to seeing what's going to happen with that. But somebody texted me that article a while ago, Billy. So if you haven't seen that. All right, we're going to start with Cherokee Bluff High School. And we have a few students that's not here tonight. I guess we just got to get back in the swing of things coming from break. But we would like to start with Bailey Jetro and Brooke Hominick And so they went, this is a national award. We'll stand out here. I know Brooke was unable to be with us, but let me tell you a little bit about this award. And Shannon Reed, our CTAE assistant principal, is here. You can get over there, and y'all can get the picture.
Get in there,
But
Billy.
National DECA Conference, their school-based enterprise, they reached the highest level that you can get. And so that is the gold level they were recognized. And so only X amount of SBEs get recognized for this across the nation. And I will tell you that we have a couple of other schools. We were fortunate this year, I think, to have 3 schools recognized at this level. But certainly, congratulations to
Now,
Cherokee
wait a
Bluff.
minute. Is this Bailey or Brooke?
This is Bailey.
And tell us what your enterprise was.
We got the school-based enterprise, which is basically the school score, and we got a score of like a 98 on our multiple.
Fantastic. Congratulations.
From what I understand, it's a lot of documentation in a portfolio and everything, so they worked really hard to get that. Chestatee High School, and I'm not sure because I don't see other folks that I recognize, but do we have Renell, Orr, and Kyra Thornton here? Okay, they went to the Georgia Student Technology Competition, and they placed second in web and mobile apps, grades 11 and 12, so we'll go ahead and recognize them, and we'll get them their certificate. But at this conference, there was over 1,200 students at the conference, and so we'll be recognizing several of these students tonight. Moving on to Flowery Branch, we're going to come back when I'm here? But the other two's on the way, right?
We
Okay,
have
let's
some
come back and
students that
put
are
them up.
behind an accident, and we'll recognize them whatever time they're able to get here. Rhonda.
Okay, and if Chestatee shows up, we'll recognize them too. All right, let's move on to Martin Elementary. I love doing the region competition here and then seeing them go to state because I don't get a chance to work with elementary as much as I do middle and high school. And so we've got Jill, Kelly here tonight. We've got the principal, Adam Smith here. But
Come on,
we're going
Adam.
to Adam Clark. See, I had it wrote down. I just automatically. We have
Jill, bring those stars
Kevin
up front.
Trainer first. No, that's Flowery Branch. I'm sorry. Okay, Branson Thompson and Remy Hayden. And Branson was first place in video production, 3-4. And then Remy was second place in animation grades 5th and 6th. Now, I'm telling you, when you see all these little elementary school folks, and Jill, you can add to this, they are at the state competition. Y'all had a lot of competition. And so I don't know if they can tell us about the project they did, or you want to tell us?
Let me ask if you're comfortable, because I told them they would just have to smile.
Okay.
You like to, or I can tell them. You want to tell them what your project was about? If anybody watches YouTube of trucks going through rivers, he has, is it an RC car? Is that, I'm not into that. Is that what it is? So he got compliments here about the cool angles and that how professional it looked. And so, he's a third grader. It's his first time at Tech Fair. So he was so excited to win regional.
Wow.
And then, I've been doing this a long time. You don't get a lot of state first
No.
places because the competition is fierce. And so we had one, actually Remy won first last year, and she's won second this year, which was a really big deal again. So both.
And the high school, y'all need to be looking at these because they can come right on up to the high school and compete too, so.
So Remy, do you want to speak, or do you want me to tell them what yours was? Remy, Branson's was video, and he used WeVideo at school to edit his video. And we have a great partnership with Fire Branch High School, and Kevin, one of the kids that won, is one of the kids that mentors. So those kids come over and work
Wow.
with our kids and teach them things and mentor them. And so Kevin has done that for a couple of years. But Remy's was animation, and am I right, Remy, that you had never animated at all till last year when the Flowery Branch kids came over? Is that true? And she started playing with the app, and this girl went all in. So she worked with an aunt and made her own props that look like her own pets that she has at home. And the detail of her, I couldn't, there must have been fears, because I couldn't believe she didn't win state again this year, because hers was, would you agree your project this year was a better project than your project last year? Would you agree with that? Would you agree with that? And so she won first last year, but that's just competition, right?
Pretty great last year, but pretty amazing this year.
They were both pretty amazing. So the level of animation and the skill that she had, both really were just
Branson and Remy, if I got a couple pizzas, could you come over and fix my computer? Get in there, guys. Brian, Adam, let's get a good picture. By the way, parents, families, if you'd like a picture, just let your principal know. We'll sure send them to you, so. So proud of you two. Congratulations.
Okay, next we have Jordy Garay from West Hall Middle School, who placed second in physical computing, grades 7 and 8. And we have his principal here with us tonight, Amy Way. So come on up, Amy. Okay, and Miss Miller, who works with all the students for the competition. So y'all get on the other side here. And so, do you want to tell about your project, what you did in physical computing?
Oh, my project is like, it's like a mini phone that I created myself. It has batteries and everything, it has Wi-Fi and Bluetooth. You can put it on and maybe draw, calculate something. Play a mini game. You can even see the real-time hour if you're connected to the internet. Right now, it doesn't have batteries, so take it out, but it's really good.
Jordy, that's what cell phones looked like when I got my first ones.
We knew he had to explain it because we could not. More typical than us.
Congratulations, Jordy.
What's interesting is they can't just go and show the project. You see all kinds of different projects and stuff at this competition. They have to be able to explain what they did because they're seeking to make sure that the student did the project and they understand, not that it was done by somebody else. So it's really, really neat. Okay, we're moving on to East Hall High School, and I can alphabetize schools, but this was one that had come in afterwards, and we wanted to get them here at the board meeting. We're real excited about this. So let's go ahead and bring the students up, and I want to tell you a little bit about this award. Jacqueline Cardenas and Aaron Garcia from East Hall High School, and their instructors, Horace Kilgore and Jamie Caffrey. Heavy equipment and graphic arts. Y'all come on up here. And then Michael Hoyt, assistant principal. Is Jennifer here or not? Okay. All right. So, if Brad was here, he would kid me because I've been in Hall County schools for a long time. I started my teaching career at North Hall High School. I actually graduated from North Hall High School. We won't talk about what year. So I've been in here a long time, but we have never won this award. So this is a very special award. It's a national award. It's Model of Excellence Award. And so to tell you a little bit about it, every state can nominate 25 chapters. So 25 times 50, that means 1,250 entries went in.
Very good, Rhonda.
I can. All right, so then National Skills USA narrowed it down to the top 24 chapters, and East Hall was chosen one of 8 chapters for workforce development, and they will go in June. There's a big reception and stuff. I got my special invite today, and y'all will compete again to be number 1 in the nation. So we're extremely proud of this model of excellence for East Hall.
And Rhonda, who's that CTAE assistant principal I see there?
Oh. With his Georgia Tech shirt on.
With his,
No.
that's all right. We'll still recognize Micah Hoyt.
Michael Hoyt.
Congratulations, y'all. That's fantastic.
And I think the students have something they want to give the board members. Oh, I didn't see you sitting there, Brad. When I commented about how long I'd been here.
We'll be looking forward to hearing about that.
We won't tell whether I've been here longer or Brad's been here. Okay, our Flowery Branch High School students are here, so this is great. Okay, so let's bring up Kevin Trainer. And he was first place at the Georgia Student Technology Competition in audio production, grades 9 and 10. We have with us the CTAE, Julie Crouch, is the assistant principal, and we have Principal Joey Fair with us tonight. So y'all get on this side. And I hope you caught earlier when they talked about Kevin has helped mentor the Martin Elementary students. I just think that's very special. So thank you for that, Kevin.
He's got to tell us about his program and
Okay,
his
you gonna tell us-
project now. I mean, that's, he doesn't get out of it like.
I've been doing audio production since I was in 3rd grade at Friendship Elementary. So this was my first year actually placing first at state. It's been a long journey. I made a whole song, played every instrument on it, tried vocals, failed vocals. I played guitar, bass. There's like MIDI/piano sounds inside the entire song. I wrote, composed, and edited all of it. So.
And is this something you might want to do in terms of career pathway, or something you just enjoy doing?
I'd love to. If like the opportunity comes forward me and I can make a living and wage off of it, I'd love to see myself making music in my life.
Well, that's incredible. We're so proud of you. Congratulations.
And we still expect you to compete next year, Kevin. All right, then we have Ariana Delaney and Taylor Paris, and they placed second in graphic design, 9th and 10th.
Ladies, by the way, that's South Hall Board Member Brian Sloan.
Well, you should have talked to me about this up here. I wanted to talk about that.
That's why we didn't do it.
But these girls, I'm gonna talk to you about 60 minutes. Are you ready?
Now, you two have to tell, one of you or both of you have to tell us about your project.
So our project was a campaign about saving the ocean where we handmade every single one of our graphics to put it all together to become one big campaign.
Wow. And tell us one thing we can do to save our oceans.
We put stuff on there like picking up trash if you see it, like just the little things that you can put into making a big effort.
That is fantastic. There's a plastic island the size of Connecticut floating around our ocean, and that's really sad. So great job, ladies. We're so proud of you.
Just going to do one more check. Did anybody else come in, possibly? Okay, congratulations to all of our special students tonight.
And before we give them one more round of applause, I just would remind you from that Times article today from these students that you see here, these students can do absolutely, positively anything. Our future is bright, and we are so proud of you. Congratulations.
Yes.
And I'm sure you guys want to stay for the rest of the meeting, but you can leave if you'd like.
They're like, whoo, that's what I was waiting on. Congratulations again.
It's one of my gifts. Clearing the room. That's right. Mr. Popular.
All right. Ready for calendar discussions, I guess.
Okay, the next item under curriculum and instruction is calendar discussion. I just wanted to bring this to your attention, plant a seed, and begin to get your thoughts around this idea. Some time ago, and I should have done a little more research, Mr. Schofield can probably help me. Remember when there was a time that we had on the calendar some half-days, and those half-days were utilized by schools to do conferences with parents or professional learning, some things of that nature. We went away from those in large part because, quite frankly, sometimes the work left behind for the students wasn't up to the standard that we preferred that it would be, or the online work that was given to students wasn't up to the standard that we would hope it would be. We have,
May I interject?
Please.
Suzanne? Because again, we had decided probably 10 or 11 years ago that part of post-secondary learning, regardless of whether it is at the undergraduate or the graduate level, almost every course, almost every program involves a certain amount of online learning, either from home with a group or independently at their own pace. And so we started to put in a couple of half-day or day at-home online learning experiences, so students were being exposed to that. And then, quite honestly, COVID hit. And we all felt like we had a belly full of online learning, and we'd had enough of that for a while. And so, again, that was what got us there, and that's what got us out of it. And so just for the perspective of where we are today.
yes, thank you for that. So where we are now is in the process of devising not next year's calendar, because that's already been approved and on the books, but the following school year calendar. And our teachers of the year are tasked with helping us come up with that calendar revision. They have, in large part, asked for consideration to put those back on the calendar. We have gotten much better at giving quality work. If you'll recall, we discussed last month our survey that we sent out when we had our last inclement weather days, and overwhelmingly, we were met with positive regard from our parents, from our students, and from the staff about the quality of work that was given to the students. So with that information and with the request of our Teachers of the Year, as they are giving us input on what that calendar looks like, that is one thing that they've asked us to reconsider, is to add those days back. Perhaps one, perhaps two half-days per semester that parents know well in advance so that they can make arrangements for childcare and such as that. I know that can be a hardship for many parents, and the sooner they know, the better they can prepare and plan. So while we're in the midst of creating a draft version calendar, we wanted to bring that to your attention tonight for some feedback.
And what Suzanne would really like to know is if you're not going to support that, then let us not have the teachers waste their time. At this point, 2 years ago, I would not have been for that. At this point, I do think it makes some sense. But again, ultimately, calendars are your decision, and so just any feedback would be appreciated.
I would be for that as a former principal, because I know we need that time with teachers. I think a half a day, especially in some of the lower grades, they're tired by lunchtime. And so if you get all that good instruction in the morning, the afternoon's a great time to let them go home and do some things on their own, at their own pace. And I would certainly be for that. And I like the quality of work, and I like for it to be something that they can follow up on when they come back the next day. Talk about what they've done and, follow up. And I think our teachers would do that. But yeah, I think COVID did turn some people off, but that's where the world's going. I'm teaching at the college level. We don't ever go into the building anymore. I don't even have an office. It's at home. All of it's online. And people are struggling with that, adults. These are administrators that I'm teaching, and they struggle with the online stuff sometimes. And so I think we need to do that, because I think that's the direction that workplaces. My husband only works 2 days a week in the office because they work from home.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's something we've got to get them ready for. I wouldn't want it to be all the time, because everybody don't do well with that. But I think they need to learn some of that. So I think that'd be a great way to introduce that and make sure we're teaching them how to use that time when they are at home and online and that
Yes.
sort of thing. So.
Thank you. Any other feedback?
What she said.
Ditto. Okay,
Thank you very much. That gives Suzanne some direction.
thank you. Okay, I think up next is a transportation update. Dr. Turpin?
Certainly. Brad, would you click on the red X, that floating toolbars? Click on the red X right in the middle where it says close. There we go. So board, we were going to bring you this update at the beginning of March, but Mr. Wells needed to be with the North Hall community at that time. So this update is going to focus on bringing together some of the operational functions in the Transportation Department, as well as some potential enhancements to some of the offerings for our schools and for our parents. So I think you guys all know Billy Wells, principal of North Hall High School, the future, or what is it called, Transportation Director in Waiting, and of course, the soon-to-be retired Clay Hobbs. So Billy.
By the way, Billy, before we get started, I want to thank you for the grace and the empathy and the care and the love that you handled the tragedy, you and your team in North Hall, and it was noticed, it was recognized, and that's how a place that's striving to be the most caring place on earth responds to those tragedies. So thank you.
Yeah, thank you. I appreciate that. It's a great community, and everybody pulled together. Thank y'all for giving me the time tonight to speak on this transportation update that we have. It's what I'm going to do is just kind of talk about a brief overview of that. Mr. Hobbs will get into some more of the specifics, and then I'll come back at the end and just kind of pull the small piece of that together. But to begin with, the first thing I want to do is talk about what you see here. These images may not look familiar to you, but the way we tried to put this together is to understand a tablet installation on a school bus and what that can do for us in terms of several processes and bringing those together. And so for me, this is kind of how my mind worked through the different ways that it might work. And again, Mr. Hobbs will get into some of those specifics. The first top left, if you look, is a time clock, keeping time, right? And so part of what we'll talk about tonight is the tablets being a time clock for the driver. So as a driver, this is a little bit sequential. As they go through their day, the first thing they would do is get in and clock in when they get on their bus to start their day. And then after that, you see the mechanic guy there at the top middle. They would go around their bus and they would do their pre-trip inspection, they would do their post-trip inspection, and then they would document that right there on their tablet and sign for it right there digitally. So it all happens in one spot. Another aspect of that is the top right, the graph that you see there deals with navigation. And when they begin their route, so they've clocked in, they've done their pre-trip inspection, they've started their route. Much like some of your cars may have GPS in them, they'll have that displayed on their bus screen as well as audio. And so just having taken a trip to Florida, when it said 400 feet, be prepared to turn right, that kind of helped me. When I got downtown Atlanta, that audio cue also helped me as well. And so that's another aspect of it. Bottom left, you see the little ID badge. There's another piece of that where students can clock in and clock out essentially all on and off the bus. If you have Life 360, use that yourself. When a student clocks in, parent will get a notification letting them know their student had entered the bus and when they get off the bus. And so that's another piece of it. And then the middle part there with the MyRide K through 12 app that's out there, there's a geofence created around each stop. And so when your kid gets there, as a parent, we have this ongoing now, but this is part of that process of pulling those together. You can get that notification as a parent that the bus is within 5 minutes of your house. You can set that time. And then lastly, the last part of this is the arrival board for the school, that when buses arrive, getting a notification that the bus is at the school area, what bus is coming in, if it's a substitute driver, substitute bus, you gather that information. So all that is part of the tablet information that Mr. Hobbs is going to share with you a little bit more in detail, and then I'll come back and say a few things here at the end. Mr. Hobbs?
Thank you, Professor Wells. I appreciate that. We're on slide 3. Time clock. You think that this would be a simple operation, but when you're dealing with as many people as we do and various different aspects of what we do all day long, it's not very simple. But we are striving to go paperless and to get technology involved so that we have as few errors as possible. So we really look forward to being able to take advantage of the time clock.
Clay, can you talk a little bit about the complexity of what goes on in our district? One of the things that we pride ourselves on is doing what's good for students and not necessarily what's easy for adults. With LCCA, with Ivester Early College, with shuttles going all over this district all day long to provide opportunities, just give the board an idea of how difficult it is to keep up with what everyone is doing, when they're coming in, when they're going out. We now have 100 homeless students that people are going as far as 65, 70 miles away to pick up, and trying to keep up with that with a fleet of 400 school buses is even significantly more complex than it would be in a normal district this size.
Yes, sir. I'll have a little more fleet information for you that Mr. Wells will present during our budget presentation in a couple of weeks. But in regards to what we do here, I can tell you when I came on board 10 years ago, it took me months, and I mean months, to fully absorb what we do here in comparison to a smaller district. Or really, at the time, I think Hall County set itself apart even from larger districts with the amount of services that we provide in the transportation program, as Mr. Schofield mentioned, to shuttling back and forth to LCCA, and then it was early college in addition to that. And then now we've added a second early college, and you're just scratching the surface there. I mean, there's so many different shuttle runs that we run for WLA 1, for WLA 2, and then we shuttle pre-K students to several different locations from out of district, from another district. And where's my friend Betsy? Has she left? Yeah, she keeps us on our toes. Our special education population is definitely not district specific like you would necessarily think, because of what Betsy tells me. It's very difficult to find certain teachers that have the right kind of requirements necessary to teach certain types of students. And I could go on and on. The MVP situation, the last time I looked at it, Mr. Schofield, we were up around 165 that we were transporting. And so it's a very complicated operation that requires a lot of flexibility. And those flexibilities come with their own challenges that have to be, we have to create solutions every single day, and we have to do it on the fly because we don't want to leave students at home. We try, our job is to get them to school, and we do what it takes to get them to school. So I hope that answered your question. But the time clock is something that I'm certainly excited about. It's not a simple thing. There's a lot of anxiety possibly surrounding that when you're used to doing something forever and you move to a different process, obviously. But we're looking forward to the challenge. The next capability is driver support with pre and post in bus inspections. The state of Georgia requires CDL holders to do a pre-trip and a pre-trip inspection before every trip. And the list has roughly 20 items on it, and we've all been doing it by paper for years and years and years. This will make that process paperless. It provides a permanent digital copy, and so if it's ever needed, it's located in a database, and we've got it, and it's time stamped on the day and the time it was done. It's a good solution. Also, when a driver clicks that something's unsatisfactory on that inspection, it sends a message to our shop foreman, who then triggers an action to get it repaired. So it all happens in real time. And as you'll notice, you'll continue to see the word communication in this, and that's what this thing does, is it communicates to parents, it communicates to our mechanics, it communicates to school administrators, and so it's a great communication tool. turn-by-turn route-specific directions. So this is the route directions portions of the capability. And this is probably my favorite because I don't know if you guys are aware, but we have a shortage of bus drivers, and we have had one ever since I've been here, and probably will continue to have one. The main reason that we lose drivers is we train quite a few, but we have a hard time retaining them. And that's because when we put them on a bus and we send them out to drive a bus route in a part of the county they've never driven in, and they don't know quite where the roads are, and they don't know where they're going, and they get frustrated and they leave us because it's a very stressful thing. I've done it at 6 o'clock in the morning in the dark trying to figure out where you're going. It's not easy. We've had these on our special ed buses, and it changes the game entirely for a new driver. It makes their job much easier, much safer. And the ones that have used this, they don't want to go without it. So I'm excited about that. But it gives them just like your phone would do on as you're going somewhere that you're not familiar with. It gives you turn-by-turn directions. When you get to the bus stop, it tells you within 10 feet of where that stop is. And the bus stops, the children that are supposed to load there, it gives them a picture and names. So hopefully we figure that this will prevent us from loading people on our buses that are not students, which is another safety function. I could go on and on about this. If there are some drivers that they have the ability to turn the video, the screen off, and only have audio directions, if that's too distracting. So, and then is this your turn, Billy, or is it still me? Okay. Operations and safety, student ridership management. So this is a pilot that we're about to start this at Martin Elementary School. We're going to start, do I need to go into this detail, or were you going to talk about it? Okay, I think I'm stepping on his toes a little bit. But when the bus gets to the bus stop, if you look at this picture, you see a student's face there and a green check and a green background. That means that student has successfully loaded the bus. That's the stop he's supposed to get on at or off at, one of the two. Now, what I don't like about that picture is it has the hand of a driver possibly touching that screen. We are totally telling our drivers if the students are loading or unloading, you're not to interact with it. You're looking in the mirror, you're keeping the kids safe, you're not to touch it or anything. So that's why I don't necessarily like that particular image. However, this is a very good thing for us. When the student boards the bus, there's a small card they scan on with the card. The parent immediately gets a notification. This student got on board the bus number 1234 at this address at this time. When the student gets off the bus at the elementary school, it gives them the same information. And so there's a lot of information for the parents that they're not used to having.
A lot of information. I'm glad we're doing a pilot. We've got a lot of questions to answer before we go that route, but it does have that capability, so thank you.
All right. I think we're going to let Professor Wells carry on.
All right, and kind of the last part here before talking a little bit more about the pilot is the arrival board. And as a high school principal, one of the things that we sometimes struggle with is just the timing of when things unfold. And so if bus 432 is pulling up and we don't normally have bus 432, we can get notified through the arrival board, through the app and the tablet that 1242 is now 432. And so we get that real-time information as it comes in and arrives on campus. And so we can get split bus routes, we can get substitute routes, we can get all that information in real time. And then as a parent, when your child boards that substitute bus with the tablet information, that is also a part of that you could receive as well. So Mr. Hobbs is right, communication is a big part of this in terms of what can happen, whether it's through the arrival board, whether it's through the time clock, whatever piece or process that's involved in the tablet, those different pieces can be used to improve communication through the arrival board through the school, through the kids clocking in and clocking out for parent communications, Life 360-like, if you will. The time clock making us more efficient with all the different routes and pay codes that we use through payroll, to clean those up, to make sure that, that we are in alignment with what we're doing by using that time clock. So the last piece here, if we could just look at that, our current plan is to use Martin Elementary for the remainder of the school year with our bus drivers, 13 buses, using the time clock in conjunction with what they normally do to see what the impact of that is with those folks. And later on this week, we will use 2 fifth-grade classes to use the clock in and clock out with those 2 classes of fifth graders, and see parents that are signed up for the MyRide K-12 app so they can get those notifications as well. And then in looking forward to next year, assuming everything goes well, a slow rollout process throughout 26, 27 to see all of these different aspects that we can use and what positive gains we get from those processes.
So Bailey, let me tie it all together for the board with some applications that you guys may be aware of. So what you've heard today is we are integrating the student information through Infinite Campus, and it is overnight, so it's available the next day. We never deny a student opportunity to ride the bus. We're not waiting on a data entry person who may be out sick, but they always ride. But it's next day of overnight syncing. We're bringing together all the current transportation systems. We're bringing together the current maintenance systems through transportation. We're bringing together the payroll systems. We're bringing together the routing systems and mapping systems. This application also brings together the field trip systems, and as Billy said at the end, it brings together the classroom panels and hallway digital signage, because I know Deborah and Bill know exactly what I'm talking about. The bell just rang. We got a call from transportation. Bus so-and-so broke down 4 blocks from the school. They're sitting in their bus. Someone's got to call transportation. Someone's got to take the call, get the information out to the teachers, getting rid of the whole middleman, transportation, the information straight from transportation to the classroom level, to who's ever on duty with a phone or a tablet out there. So you can see, very complex, bring it together to hopefully one system to really serve our students, our teachers, and our parents and our employees better. Questions for these gentlemen?
I can't wait to see that roll out, because as a former principal, number one, when we would have a substitute driver, they got lost every time. And if they've got that 360, they'll know where to go. And then I think about that little buzzer that lets you know when they're coming to the stop. When I was growing up, oh my goodness, our house, when it was about time for the bus, it went down the road and somebody hollered, "Mom, the bus went down." You had about 2 minutes to run a half a mile up the hill. So I would have had a warning on that. And then the other thing too is that we can't let kids off at bus stops unless we know somebody's there. Well, they need to get on that app and know that we're coming and be out there, so we know we can drop that kid off, because they would bring kids back to the school. Somebody was there, but nobody knew, and we had to bring them back. You can't leave them there unless you know, for young kids. So, I mean, there are a lot of things on that will be so, and I think in general, it's going to give parents a lot of comfort. We have a lot of car riders in Hall County. I sit in those car lines with grandkids. And I think more of them would ride buses if they could monitor when the kid's getting on, when the kid's getting off. I think there'll be a feeling of more safety for parents with bus riders, so.
The one segment that I see is that you've got those parents that are at work in the afternoons, and they can't be at home. Obviously, we're talking about older elementary or middle school age children, but they would get that notification that at least my child got off at the right place at the right time. And I think that would give a lot of them, like you say, a lot of confidence. So
When they get on the bus and log in with their card, is there a procedure if they've lost their card?
yes, sir. What happens in that scenario is the screen has the students' names and faces that belong to that stop that we have in the software. And so as the student boards the bus and he says, you know, if, hey, I don't have my card, they will be trained to, all they have to do is the student takes their finger and touches their face, and it logs them on. And then they do the same thing when they get off the bus. They could also type in their lunchroom number, but it's just so much easier to just touch it.
Would it be possible to also implement that with the current ID cards, so kids don't have to have 2 or 3 cards later on down the road?
That's a great question. So these cards would replace the current high school ID cards. And interesting, these ID cards, was it 45 cents cheaper? Yeah. So yes, and it's cheaper. So,
And also, I understand that you can see where the bus is if your kid's on it, but can you also track before, like, say if you're waiting on the bus, if the weather's bad, things of that nature, so you can see where the bus is at if you need to get on down to the stop, or?
It will not allow you to actually track the bus, and the reason for that, I'll just use an example, is if you had a split family where there were
Custody issues.
yes, thank you, custody issues, and then you run into some privacy issues. So the way it works is it uses a geofence around your phone that you have the app on, and it will give you a notification that says the bus should be at your location in 8 minutes or 10 minutes, or I think the user gets to choose how many minutes of a notification that you want.
if I can clarify, the routes are not public. No one can track our buses. It is only specific for that parent's child that they have application for.
Thank you, Aaron. Thank you, gentlemen.
Yes.
Okay, that is exciting information coming out. Next on our agenda tonight is, I'm asking for approval for the 2 trips that you see in yellow. DC for WLA Middle, and then the graphic arts students at West Hall High School going to Orlando. The other 2 below, I will bring back for your consideration at our next meeting. So the 2 in yellow, please.
Motion second. All in favor?
Thank you.
Moving on to fiscal management. Jonathan, TAVT.
Yes, sir. Your TAVT receipts for the month of March were just over $1 million. It is a little bit down over last month as well as last year, so we're just kind of keeping an eye on that to see what the next few months bring us.
Thank you. Budget presentations, it's that time of the year, and even though again, we told you last month, we're not expecting a digest in time to pass a budget by the end of June, but we're going to go on our normal schedule with the budget presentations. And Aaron, I believe you have some set up for tonight.
Certainly. We'll have budget presentations, which are overviews of what will be included in the general fund budget request that will be coming for your consideration. Tonight, we've got school food nutrition and finance and human resources, and then in 2 weeks, we'll have the other department areas. So Cheryl, take it away.
Oh, thank you so much. Good evening. It is my absolute pleasure to present the SY27 proposed school nutrition budget. Participation decreased slightly this year because of enrollment being down. You'll see that the projection for next year is just a little under what we had projected for SY26. Next slide, please, Mallory. And the budget overall, the food equipment supplies just over $8 million. Salary and benefits, as you well know, benefits are high, $11.2 million. Next slide, please. And
Cheryl,
here-
how much is the monthly health insurance fee for every one of your full-time food
It's gonna
service
be-
employees?
In terms of the overall, for the year is $3.3 million, which is 16% of our budget, which is ouch, but, you know, we make it work, and I'll tell you how we make that work here. But each covered member is about $24,000 per year. So it's $1935 for next year, and then the county pays $5906 for the classified team who have the state health benefit, so just a little bit more than that. So it has gone up significantly over the 12 years that I have been back to the district. My 12-year anniversary is the 16th, which is this week, so I'm happy to be with you all 12 years. Yeah. So,
She slipped it in there. It's $1,935
Yeah.
a month that you are paying for each one of our classified employees for
Yeah.
health insurance.
and that does get difficult when you're dealing with a revenue base that's based on meals participation. If students don't eat, we don't get the revenue. So we really work hard to make menus that appease to our students and our adults as well. And we try to do it as cost effectively as possible. And we'll be working on that, and you'll see that in our financial coming up when we present our bids later on before the end of the school year. But here are some of the things that can impact our budget. For example, I mentioned the enrollment decrease that impacts the breakfast and lunch participation. So that does hurt. And then when you have a decrease in meal participation, you have a decrease in your reimbursement. And always, the increase in cost of food, supplies, and benefits, that's another impact. And what we typically do here, when we have a person retire or resign that we have had on our staff for 20-some-odd years, we adjust the staff to align with the meal participation in that school, and we can oftentimes bring in 2 part-time assistants and still not cover the cost of the health insurance that a full-time person would have cost the program. So we've been doing that for quite a few years. You guys have approved us to have part-time nutrition assistants fill slots, and we appreciate that very much. So that's our budget proposal for SY27, and I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have. None? At this point, we do propose a 5-cent increase across all meals, breakfast, lunch, elementary, middle, high, adults, and visitors. And we have worked really hard to get our bids to come in. They're actually coming in now. We're doing a cost analysis. It takes about 3 weeks to get all of that done, so we hope to be able to bring that back to you guys around May and have it done before the end of the school year. So thank you all so much. We appreciate your support. Thank you for your time.
All right, Human Resources.
Okay. As usual, the human resources portion of the budget is actually the bulk of our budget, because obviously salary and benefits for our employees makes up the bulk of what we spend each year. So our total number of employees as of FY26 is 4,047, and you can see the certified and classified breakdown there. The average teacher salary is $72,250, because the average teacher in Hall County has a master's degree with 15 years of experience. And but what has changed this school year is the average teacher salary plus benefits for the upcoming school year, because Cheryl mentioned the $1,885 per month per classified employee, and she added in the $56 a month that we also pay for those folks. But the state health benefit plan for certified employees is going to increase from that $1,885 a month per certified employee to $2,028 per month per employee. So that puts us at going from what we currently pay right now is $22,620 annually per employee to $24,336 for certified employees for the upcoming school year.
And Dr. Swafford, just for clarification, that total number of employees is counted head by head. A lot of them are part-time employees.
Correct.
That figures into that number, so that's higher than the actual position numbers.
Correct, yes. Okay, next slide, please. As I mentioned, the budget remains unchanged at the percentage in terms of what salary and benefits comprises of that. And so, but I would like to note that there is also going to be an increase in TRS contributions that the district will be required to make for all TRS employees. And it's going from 21.91% per month per employee to 22.32%. So that's another benefit increase that the district will be taking on. Next slide, please. And I also want to mention that both of those increases in benefits are increases that are legislated to us. It's not something that we choose to do or can refuse to do. So just wanted to make a note of that really quickly. I also wanted to talk about our specialty programs. You can see that we have over 1,000 active substitute teachers, and want to really plug the priority subs. So we've got 92 priority subs in the district, and this was a program that that Dr. Brown had the board approve several years ago, and I want to thank you all for your continued support of that, because priority subs allow for our schools that on a daily basis, if a teacher is unable to find a sub, a school will have 2 or 3 priority subs who are in that building every day and can be what I like to call utility players, meaning that if a sub doesn't pick up a job, a vacancy in the building, then that priority sub can go down to that classroom and cover. And so that really protects planning time for our teachers, because those of us who have worked in schools can, on the board, y'all all know that what happens is you end up going to teachers during their planning periods, or you have to go to emergency rosters. And so our priority subs have really helped with that. So I want to thank you all for your support of that, because it does protect our teachers' times, and it also makes sure that all of our students get somebody that, if they're a priority sub, knows the building, they're familiar with what's going on because they're in that school several days a week. And so we really appreciate that. I also want to thank you for your support of our Rise Up Paraprofessionals program. That is for our bilingual graduates of Hall County Schools who are attending UNG to become teachers. That's our own para-to-teacher pipeline, so to speak, and we're grateful for that. We've got 15 of those this year. And then we also have 15 teacher residents. I'd like to point out that this year we have our first 2 teacher residents from Truett-McConnell and 1 from Valdosta State University. And so as universities, educator prep programs across the state learn about the teacher residency program, it really is expanding the universities that we're able to partner with. So I'm very grateful for that as well. Next. And so I want to talk a little bit about recruitment and retention, and let you know that for FY26, we had 447 new employees, and that recruitment effort is one that we take very seriously, and our principals do a wonderful job of combing through all the resumes and applications that we get to get the very, very best. And I think that that is indicated by our teacher retention rate of 91%. So we're very happy that we're able to provide that consistency for our students and families. Next, any questions for me?
Thank you, Carl. By the way, that's by far your largest budget line item, as it should be, is teacher salaries and benefits. And I'm thankful, boy, have we come a long way, Bill and Deborah, in terms of educator salaries. We still have a long way to go, but I'm thankful that they're making a meaningful living.
Jonathan.
Yes, sir. So financial and business services budget. So there's 4 primary components to our budget. So you've got a risk management component. You've got the actual cost that is involved in running our specific business office. You have the business services component, which is things, business services we provide out to the rest of the district. And then also district and school support, so things like allotments, check stop, training for our different district stakeholders and decision makers. And so each of those makes up a proportion, so we have a little bit of a hodgepodge of different things that are part of our budget.
John, you could try your microphone.
Oh, yep, there we go. All right. But then from there, we've got, if you'll go to the next slide, Mallory, main differences in our budget from last year to this year. When you look through, as salaries and benefits have gone up a little bit over the last few years, workers' compensation, in order to match, because it is based, those rates are based on our total payroll for a given year. Those have also started to rise a little bit as well, and that's to cover our workers' compensation obligations. We are self-insured with respect to our workers' compensation. But we do have an excess policy starting at $500,000. So if a claim exceeds $500,000, that's where our excess policy kicks in. We did, from last year, we did an insurance market survey with comparable districts as well as with districts that are not users of GSBA, the Georgia School Boards Association. What we found in terms of both within GSBA and outside of GSBA, as we were looking and asking everybody to sharpen their pencils, is that consistently rates, when we surveyed other districts and we surveyed different insurance companies, rates were pretty consistent in both the increases in the last couple of years as well as this year across the board. And so right now, the proposed increase that GSBA has proposed for this year is in line with what we're seeing across the industry. In the last couple of years, they have been in line. What we've seen, though, is the reinsurance costs is the main driver behind that. And for us as a district, the other part has been square footage. So our new schools have also changed some of the formula for us as well. In addition to that, our four-year contract with Munis is currently expiring. And so as part of that renewal, the guaranteed rate we've had the last few years of $475,000 is they are currently proposing a $532,000 annual licensing fee as part of that contract. But if you have any questions about those specific parts, just let me know. And then to help support some of these, we've looked for other areas that we can reduce our budget lines. And so between these budget lines, we've been able to pull, we believe, pull about $284,000 in expenses from other lines to try and help support some of these increases. But if you have any questions, just let me know. Appreciate your time and appreciate your support.
Any questions for these three individuals? I'm sorry, any questions for these three individuals?
Just want to let you know that you've seen the word increase a few times in terms of inflation. Keep in mind that we have lost 600 students this year. Also keep in mind that due to some of the property tax changes that were made legislatively last year, you're running a budget that's $6 million in deficit this year. And then keep in mind that we also have now passed some legislation that is going to lower your senior exemption to 66. It's going to increase the homestead exemption from 2,000 to 10,000. So all I can tell you is it's a good thing you have a little money in the bank, because it's going to be a rough-looking budget year, and there's going to be some real questions to answer just in terms of how this is sustainable over time. Everybody knows you can't live on your savings forever, and that's going to be the cycle that you're in. So just want to make you aware of that. You already knew it, but that's the big picture. What we're told when I asked the legislators, I think they suggested that the change in the senior exemption age would be $6 million. We'll just have to wait and see what it is, but just want to make you aware.
All right, East Blast analysis.
Yes, sir. East Bloss collections for the month of March were just over $3.3 million. Now, that is a little bit down from last year. It is up over the prior month, but we'll continue to watch that. And if you have any questions, just let us know.
And project updates.
Yes, sir. I have project updates for three of our active large projects. First up is North Hall High School. We did, as of today, occupy the three-story addition. So students and faculty were actually using the three-story addition. We've now evacuated the old administration area, and work is beginning in that area now as we begin to make our move toward the additional work that will be done this summer for restroom renovations and some CTA renovations.
Billy, how did it go today?
Kids were excited to be able to walk through the building, just to see the things that were happening. Just a really positive thing for our students.
Did we get Hector moved to his new place of prominence?
It will happen. It's just not happening yet. He has a perch.
So has anyone moved in? You said the administration has moved in?
Everyone has moved in.
Okay, and they're
We've
actually
evacuated.
using the classrooms, or they just walked through today?
No, they're
We're
using,
the hallway to move from one side of the building to the other, but we do have one Spanish class that has moved in.
Okay.
We're active.
So now they don't have to go outside, they can go through the building. Good.
Safety perspective, we got them all inside.
Good.
Next up is World Language Academy, just continuing to work on this building. We're well on schedule on this project, and you'll see some photos here as we're continuing to finish up block work, actually doing brickwork now on the building. You see the bus loop there as our last area of major grading. So we're continuing to make good progress on this building. And last up is a new project on the list, which is Flowery Branch Elementary School. This is if you recall, this is the site project that we're doing in preparation for, actually, we've already set the 7-classroom modular. We'll also be doing modifications to the car rider line and bus line for better circulation on the property. So basically, just kind of getting us started on this one. Not a lot of work has happened yet, but we got set up over spring break, and the school was able to work with us to give us access to areas behind the building.
Once again, that Flowery Branch project reflects the fact that although you've got empty seats in your district, you certainly don't have empty seats in the McKever corridor, in the Friendship Spout Springs corridor, and in the 211 corridor. In terms of elementary space, that's where we need the space, and appreciate you providing the funding for putting those extra units at Flowery Branch Elementary School.
When will we actually open North Hall where people can go visit it other than students? Are we gonna move classrooms in there this year other than Spanish? Or are we waiting until the beginning of next year to move the rest of the kids into that part?
Currently, our plan is we have testing in the high school world, May Madness begins, and so we'll have testing taking place in the second and third floor during that time. But we are transitioning over to long haul, but the primary will be next fall.
And Deborah, that's when we'll have the open house
That's
and the
what I was wondering.
celebration. Yeah.
Okay.
Personnel.
You have in front of you our personnel action items for April 13th. And this is the time of the year whenever we will begin asking for action at both the work session and the regular meeting, just because of the volume of the recommendations that are coming through. And so that will allow the HR and payroll teams to begin processing those new employees and getting them all the information that they need. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you might have.
And that being said, we will be continuing to send you the list and with several days in advance, so you
Yes.
can look it over in case you do have any questions. If you don't, my recommendation would be that we approve the personnel packet as presented.
Do I have a motion?
Make a motion.
Has a second? All in favor? All right, we have an executive session for personnel, but before we go into that, we have two individuals here running for office. Give them a moment to stand up and introduce themselves. Susan? That's fine. Just to give you a quick name and let people see who you are.
Hi, I am Susan Acock Smith. I use my maiden name because Deborah Smith. I didn't want anybody to get mixed up. So yeah, I'm running for the school board for the at-large position that Coach Thompson has decided to give up. So
Thank you.
Thank you.
anyways.
Okay, next.
And hi, I'm Carter Baker. I am also running for the at-large position, and excited to pursue other opportunities.
Thank you both.
Thank y'all for being here. So we're going to stay in here.
We'll stay in here for an executive session. It'll be brief, and I do not anticipate any action after the executive session. Bo, you got to get going. Get out of
Do I
here.
have a motion to go into executive sessions? Second, all in favor? Deborah, tell Brian to raise his hand.
Raise your hand. I'm
There we
favor
go.
of executive session. Okay.
Brian, can you give those two certificates?